Happy New Year, listeners. Welcome to the first episode of Straight Wife Trans Life. I'm Lisa, and when anyone told me Happy New Year last year, I would use that inner voice and say, go F yourself, because today marks 1 year since my husband came out as transgender. I've learned a lot and, of course, cried a lot, but now I'm ready to share what I know thus far and hope it provides you with insight into the receiving end of such news for a spouse or partner. So let's start at the beginning. Disclosure. The moment I learned that my husband is transgender. Buckle up. In a Hollywood film production where there is an explosion involved, the camera typically pans to the character who is about to be enveloped by this explosion, and we get to see their facial expression. And it doesn't matter what kind of movie. It can be a drama or it can be a comedy. But the facial expression is almost always the same. It's an, oh fudge, there is no way out of this one. And that character's facial expression before the explosion is exactly what it feels like to be told that the love of your life is transgender. My husband dropped this explosion on me 30 minutes before January 1st of last year. We were sitting on the couch in our living room, flipping through the various New Year's celebrations, drinking something fun, which I wish I remembered what it was. Our 8-year-old son was sound asleep in his room, and I thought, wow, we made it. We made it through this big part of the pandemic for 2 years. It's going to be a good year. And then, as if on cue, my husband turns to me and says, Lisa, I'm transgender. What was that? I'm transgender. So my husband hits me with this, and the explosion part is the barrage of questions that start rushing through my head. What the F? How long? How did I miss this? Is my marriage a scam? Oh my God, our kid! You get the idea. And what came out of my mouth was not pretty. Now, I'm keeping this podcast clean, so please forgive my cheesy use of the letter F. But really, every other word was an F-bomb. You effing a-hole. What the F? You're effing ruining our effing lives. Seriously, what the F? How long? My husband explained that because of the pandemic, work had offered free therapy sessions, and it was through those sessions that he came to understand that he is transgender. He never had a label for all these years, and now it clicked. But in that moment, I was a mess and could not focus on the deeper pieces to this explosion. And then, like any sane person, I ran to the bathroom and spent my New Year's in the shower, where I cried so hard I almost felt like I was hovering above myself, thinking, I had no idea we could cry this hard. Look at that. Who died? Nobody? Oh, your husband is now going to identify as a female lesbian? Oh, well, shoot. Keep crying. I just want to sort of make a little insert here that it's not just wives who get the news from husbands. You know, you can be a wife, you can be lesbian, you can be gay, you can be purple, you can be blue. It doesn't matter. There's no label on a person who comes out as transgender. And also on the receiving end, spouses and partners have different reactions. Some spouses and partners leave right away. Nope, not doing it. I'm out. Some people just go, yeah, okay, whatever. You are who you are. I love you. No biggie. And then there is a lot of in between where time is the key. You need time to process this information, time to grieve, time to figure out what we're going to do, how to accept this new reality. Time is important because all of us differ as to how long it takes to grieve the ending of this person you knew and accept that the same yet different version of someone you love is standing in front of you. But this gets really complex. So we're going to break this into more digestible pieces for future episodes. So in the shower, understanding that a huge reason for all of this intense crying is that we have a child. And when you have a child or children and a spouse or partner comes out as transgender, I feel like you're shoved into the carpool lane on dealing with all of the attached emotions. We sort of push those aside to feel like we're continuing with our normal lives. Obviously, you want your child or children to be unscathed, so you continue to make breakfast, take them to school, say hi to other families you see, go to the grocery store, help with homework, or the usual routine. Here's what really happened for me. I sat on the couch, staring into the darkness for many hours that first night, or early morning, trying to wrap my head around the news. Then I looked at real estate sites. What can I get if we split? Then I just looked out into the darkness a little more before I fell asleep. And the next day, I went through the motions of daily life. But I avoided people. Texted friends and relatives instead of talking. Started crying at random times. I used Google daily to find any information on others going through this. And I found myself resentful of people who seemed happy. That couple at the grocery store have no idea what's ahead. Stop looking happy. And this continued for weeks. All the while, my husband was pitching in where I was slacking off and giving me space because he's a nice guy. And that's when I realized that I would stay because I wanted to. It was the best choice for me, and it's what I felt I wanted to do as a family. And it's not the best choice for everyone. We all have different circumstances. I don't want to shuffle our kid between houses because really, my husband hasn't done anything wrong. He may now identify as a lesbian and I don't, but I love our family, and as awful and painful as this is, I could never just ditch the one person who has always been there for me, especially when he tells me that he doesn't want to do this, but he has no option. He needs to do it. It is not a choice. He can no longer stuff down this thing he didn't understand, but that he has felt since he was a boy. And he is smart, funny, a great spouse and parent. And I don't want our son to grow up hating either of us or anyone who might be different. So I chose to stay. And it's really important to understand that this may not be the right choice for everyone. And it is absolutely fine if you are experiencing this and decide that you need to leave. Everyone going through this has a different journey, a different set of circumstances. But we can always be supportive of each other. So now the question becomes, How do we move forward? How do I move forward? I have this gigantic bag of fresh emotions that I need to work through. And one baby step that helped me in the beginning was that during one of my evening Google sessions early on, I found a helpful graphic, and I want to share the contents, and I'll add the link to the podcast episode description. And it was just what I needed to start that little inch forward. It is from a website called verywellmind.com. And the title is Coping After Your Spouse Comes Out as Gay. And it lists 6 coping methods, which are: establish boundaries, avoid blame, be mindful of how you tell your kids, don't presume a dissolution of marriage, take care of yourself, and find a support group or professional help. These coping methods have since all come into play for me, and I want to break these down into smaller pieces so that it doesn't feel overwhelming. And I think the first chunk that I want to tackle is finding a support group or professional help, or in my case, finding both, because sometimes it's definitely necessary. And in the beginning, it's hard to know, where do I look? Where do I find other people who might be experiencing this? And I want to help provide some resources to find what you need. I'll talk about ways to find support in the next episode. I'm Lisa, and I hope you'll join me then.